This SlideTrax training video is exclusively on the use of the optional text feature found within SlideTrax. Once we open that dialog window, you can see we've got several options, and I'd like to review these with you. First is the font, and in the font drop-down list there will be as many different fonts as there are on your machine, and as you scroll down through these you can see them previewed on your screen, so that's a pretty useful feature. Second one is the point size, or the size of the text. Obviously if you change from 40 to 60 it's going to get bigger, and you go down to 20 it's going to get smaller. So you can control the font size using this feature. You can control the color by selecting this, and that opens this typical Windows color selector, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. And then over here obviously you're going to type in whatever optional text you'd like to type in, and once it's in there then you can control the positioning of it, and you can control the positioning using these X and Y coordinates as well as using these coordinates over here, the text placement area in the center. Let's start with these first because I think this is the quickest way, and obviously if you just look at the positioning of these green dots you can get an idea or an approximation of where the text is going to appear. As I click on it you can see it move. So once you have it positioned in the place you would like it, or approximately in the place you would like it, and you'd like to move it slightly, you can then go to the XY, and obviously if we add, let's say, 50 points to the X coordinate, watch what happens over here. You can see that it moves by 50 pixels. If we want to move it down by 100, for example, so now we moved it 50 pixels by 100 pixels. And obviously you can change these values to any values you need, and by doing that you should be able to customize the placement of this text on the screen in just about any place you'd like it. The last thing then to briefly review are the shadow settings over here, and obviously you can either have a shadow or you can remove it by unselecting or deselecting this checkbox, and if you deselect it these other things become grayed out and you can't use them. If you select it then you have the option of selecting the shadow color. Again, the typical Windows color selector, and you have an X and a Y offset, very much like we use the X and the Y offsets over here. So in this case we're using a gray and we're having an X and a Y offset of 3. If we can increase that, for example, to 10, you see that it is now much larger than it was before. Here it is much larger and now much deeper than it was before. So again, you can experiment with these, you can change these, and you can get the shadowing effect that you would like to have. So with that, we'll conclude this training video on the use of the optional text feature found in SlideTrax. Thanks for watching.